There is a political analyst who has recently predicted that Musalia Mudavadi is on the verge of being kicked out of the OKA grouping. According to this analyst, Kalonzo Musyoka and Gideon are putting pressure on Musalia Mudavadi and his political party, ANC, to exit the alliance. Now, I have no information to prove what this analyst is saying, and neither do I have any information not to prove what they're saying. But what I know, and what I've always insisted on this channel, is that the OKA outfit is a non-starter. I'm sorry to their supporters, but that is the brutal political truth. In my opinion, what really is of great interest, and what should be of great interest to those analyzing Kenyan politics, is whether all this drama within OKA will affect any of the two major presidential candidates. Because there's been a theory floating around, and recently this theory was repeated by a man I consider to be an insider in Kenyan politics currently, the KOTU Secretary General, Francis Atwoli, who recently spoke about this theory and even added more information. Now, the theory has been that the objective of OKA is to force a runoff around 2 of the presidential election. In other words, the objective is to deny both presidential candidates enough votes for anybody to win with the required 50% of the votes cast, plus 1. And after accomplishing that objective, they will be in a better position to negotiate with either of the presidential candidates, the one who comes first and the one who comes second, which is rather predictable. They'll be in a position to negotiate with both. Actually, a much stronger position, because they'll have votes on the table to present to them. They'll have parliamentary seats. They will have governors, MCAs, etc., who will be of great value to both candidates as they go into round 2, and even as the eventual winner forms a government, because you don't want to be president without any support from as many parts of the country as you can muster. But what Atwoli has told us is that OKA is actually a political kiosk whose main objective is to make money. Now, according to Atwoli, the OKA presidential candidate will ask for money, will look for the highest bid in cash to make their decision as to who to join for the second round, and ultimately informing the government. It is believed whoever OKA joins will win the election, will win the presidential election. And Atwoli says their thinking is faulty, because, according to Atwoli, whoever will win the 2022 presidential elections will win it in the first round. There'll be no rerun or second round. Atwoli assures us that the person who will win it, and of course we know he's talking about Raila Odinga, will win it overwhelmingly. They'll already have the 50 plus 1. In fact, Atwoli says they'll win that election by 10 a.m. in the morning. Yeah? Now, I happen to agree with Atwoli for one very simple reason. And it has to do with the way Kenyans vote. And this is something that has been proved time and time again in Kenyan politics. Simply put, the Kenyan voter hates to vote for a loser. They call it kupoteza kura yako. The Kenyan voter is not interested in voting for somebody who will come second. No way. In 2013, Musalia Mudavadi was a presidential candidate. And very many in his community, in fact the majority, knew that he was not going to win. And therefore they opted to vote with somebody they thought would win, Raila Odinga. Western Kenya voted overwhelmingly for Raila Odinga, despite the fact that one of their own sons, Musalia Mudavadi, was vying for the presidency. In 2017, Peter Kenneth from the Mount Kenya region campaigned vigorously, countrywide, and mobilized many young Kenyans. But on polling day, many in Mount Kenya were convinced that voting for Peter Kenneth would give Raila Odinga a win, an emphatic win, because it would deny the other candidate from the area, the incumbent, Uhuru Kenyatta, votes. And so, although many liked the freshness of Peter Kenneth, the excitement of Peter Kenneth as a candidate, they didn't vote for him. In 1992, I think this is the best example, we had two very strong candidates from the Mount Kenya region, Mwai Kibaki and Kenneth Matiba. Now, the day Kenneth Matiba flew back into the country, after undergoing treatment in London for stroke, the welcome he received at the airport, the crowds that waited at the airport to welcome him, convinced many that Matiba was very popular and maybe the most popular politician in the Mount Kenya region. And very fascinatingly, the president's handlers, Moi's handlers at that time, made a mistake because they were sure that Mwai Kibaki was going to get more votes. And at the time it made sense. Mwai Kibaki was the most senior politician. And so Moi's campaign focused on Mwai Kibaki and ignored Kenneth Matiba. They saw Mwai Kibaki as the only threat to President Moi being re-elected. And their smear campaign was focused on Mwai Kibaki. But on polling day, Mount Kenya voters decided that Matiba was the more popular candidate. Kibaki was boring. He was a fence-sitter. He was considered a coward by the community. And therefore Matiba got many votes. There are those who believe that it is Matiba who won those elections, including yours truly. Voters in Kenya don't vote for somebody who's going to come second. And so this is very predictable, believe it or not. Even if OKA remain intact and select one presidential candidate to fly their flag, it really doesn't matter. They'll not perform well. They will not get votes. So this strategy of forcing a runoff is very shaky at best. A non-starter actually, in my view. But there's something even more fascinating about OKA that tells you very clearly OKA is going nowhere. One of the principals, Gideon Moi, is firmly behind President Uhuru Kenyatta. Not only that, many people know, maybe you don't, but many people know, that Gideon Moi made the decision to vie for the presidency after a meeting with Raila Odinga. Gideon Moi has a political understanding for 2022 with Raila Odinga. Just review what happened in the year 2019, and even in the year 2020. Review video clips, newspaper clips, and you'll come to that conclusion very quickly. Musalia Mudavadi's camp has been warming up to Deputy President William Samoei Ruto for almost 2 years now. Bwana Muluka, a very close associate of Musalia Mudavadi, is now working very deep within the Deputy President's camp and his political campaign for the presidency. Moses Wetangula has always been a Deputy President William Samoei Ruto man, even in 2017 when he was a NASA principal. I remember during those elections, I revealed that one of the NASA principals was a Jubilee mole, and people didn't take it seriously. But later, during the campaign period, ODM came out and told us that they suspected there was a mole within them at the highest level, because the Jubilee Party were able to get information with ease about very confidential discussions within NASA. And this forced Raila Odinga, at the tail end of those campaigns, to start playing his cards very close to his chest. There are many who believe that Jubilee were getting the information from Bwana Wetangula. Now, Kalonzo Musyoka has made it very clear that he doesn't want anything to do with Raila Odinga. However, he is always willing, at the drop of a hat, to work closely with President Uhuru Kenyatta. But of course, that stand of Kalonzo's completely ignores the fact that Uhuru and Raila are twins joined at the hip. How do you support one and not support the other? How does that work? How do you work closely with President Uhuru Kenyatta and you say you don't work with Raila Odinga? How will that work? Indeed, Kalonzo Musyoka is putting himself into a corner. Politically, that will be very difficult to come out of. And as I've said here before, may force him with no alternative into an alliance with William Ruto's UDA. That is how things are moving, clearly. Now, even at the meeting in Ukambani, the Azimio la Umoja, it was a strategic mistake for Kalonzo Musyoka not to attend. Because he is now pitting himself directly against Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga seems to have support on the ground, because there's something very interesting developing in Kenyan politics that many have missed. The influence and power of a governor. Raila in the Azimio la Umoja Ukambani meeting had all the Ukambani governors there. Now in a political race, between Kalonzo Musyoka on one side and the Ukambani governors on the other side, at the very worst, it will be a 50-50 split of the votes. And therefore, in a way that shuts out Kalonzo Musyoka as an Ukambani kingpin, whatever way you want to look at this. Bottom line, OKA kwisha maneno. And that's my view. I could be wrong. Now, before I go, I just want to remind you about my latest weekly intelligence briefings. Number 70. I have a short clip that you may want to take in, which tells you a bit more about this highly sensitive WAB. Take it in. I'll be back in a minute. Cartels in Kenya are so powerful it is impossible for the government of Kenya to bring them down. And that is why the latest moves by the DEA in the United States is causing quite a lot of jitters back home here in Kenya. They were not, under any circumstances, going to lose their grip. Their grip on power. But there's something else the cartels had started doing way back in 2007. They started fielding candidates in very prominent, powerful political positions so that their influence would remain guaranteed. And we're going to name those individuals shortly. Yeah. Now you know what you have to do if you're not yet a subscriber and you want to take in that WIB. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.